Chut chut Watto. Chut chut Watto. We're live, Fika. You should have thought of that a minute ago before you started messing with the cameras. Here we go. Are we on? We better be. Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Yeah, we took a break. We had to take a break from the show. I had a death in the family. And hey Mo, how's it good to see? Good to see you too. Salam and thanks, and welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm calling it the Sunday Sully stream. Welcome back to the Sunday Sully stream, and with your host Eric O'Sullivan, his executive producers Pikachu and Facsimile X-Ray Girl. We have a Cecilized Canadian Bear and a Critical Drinker back there as well in the production booth, making sure that our show runs without incident. Well, it's good to be back, Mo. Good to see you too. Yeah, let's see what the show has in store for us today. Just getting back into the groove of things. Eventually, there'll be changes to the show, to the aesthetic of the show, what you see, and what you get. There we are. And Mo watched the Cape Crusader. Let us know what you thought of it in the chat, and we can talk about that some more. And yeah, I've been I need to work on my blocking here. This is the swag. Well, actually, it's not really swag because I paid for it. This is the T-shirt I got with the Wicked Boston Comic Con and the swag bag that they give. Hi, everyone. And it's good to see you all out there. And get back to this thing. And it's the Sunday Sully stream. You with your host, Eric O'Sullivan, ordained minister of the internet. I got ordained on the internet on March the 31st, 1998 from a computer. It's a very dubious ordination, but I'm a spiritual guy. I had a spiritual awakening. And was it the acid that New Year's Eve when I was convinced I saw the White Room? Or was it a couple of different things like Carl Sagan's Contact and the Muhammad Ali documentary When We Were Kings that got me like percolating spiritually? And I always been a spiritual person, so I made this decision to be an ordained minister, and I did that online. And I've performed 4 weddings and a couple of infant naming ceremonies as well. And although I've hung up the robe, I haven't hung up the title. So yeah, that's like my brand. I've been working on that for like half my life. It's called oops. Good thing I didn't have anything naughty. Wanted to share this, yeah. Reverend Sully, yeah. That's a wedding I did way back in 2001. One of my best friends, Lisa, married Christopher, and they had 2 sons. And it's wonderful that they're still part of my life. And but yeah, that's Reverend Sully right there. That is peak. That's peak Reverend Sully, or is now the peak. Is it all peaks and valleys? Exactly. Will the road rise with you? May the road rise with you. You could be wrong, you could be right. You could be black, you could be white. That's from Public Image Limited, fronted by Johnny Lydon aka Joni Rotten. Yes, I'm the minister. I am a minister. I'm a spiritual person. I'm an autodidactic amateur theologian. I went out of my way to study world religions. And what I like is the whole Venn diagram overlap. What I like to see are the parts where we all share a world culture through spirituality. I was primed for this as a small child. Something called Star Wars had come out in 1977. I was 4 going on 5 in May the 25th. I was way too young to remember seeing Star Wars the first time upon that release. I won't be 5 years old until November. So there was the action figures, there was the whole culture, but being steeped into this mythology in this fictional world where an absolute good can fight an absolute evil. This was chock full of what you would consider today and have the terminology. You would call it coding. And good to see you, my friend, Yule Carter. Hi, buddy. It's good to be back. And I'm over trauma and fiction. I want aspirational heroes from now on. I mean, our fiction should not be a substitute for real mental health. You know what I mean? Seriously, it's time for the trauma cycle to come to end in comic books and in our fictions. Let's get over that. We need resilience. We need aspirational heroes. So yeah, I haven't done a wedding or a naming ceremony in a long time, but I was invited to recently. Actually, their oldest son here, Chris and Lisa may have split up, but their oldest, Kai Christopher, he asked me to officiate his wedding this past year, and I thank you, but I just couldn't do it, because it's like I've hung up. I really don't do that anymore. It was, but I still am a spiritual guy, and I still am Reverend Sully. Yes, indeed. And this is a really spiritual kind of infused show. It's been more spiritual lately. We've been doing gratitude lists in the morning, and it's to keep me, making content and keep the dialogue open, so to speak. And I'm grateful and blessed every day. I wake up with 8 things to be grateful for in my heart, in my mind, and in my soul. I created a mental, spiritual, and emotional muscle memory to achieve this kind of traction that you need in life. A lot of people just need this kind of simple remedy for, overthinking or a negative self-talk. And it comes from within. And I was suggested gratitude. And I was suggested gratitude by one of these YouTubers. One of the YouTubers that got me doing this in the first place, Gary Beekler of Nerdrotic, he suggested gratitude. He's a convicted felon who did his time, and he's a substance abuser who has been sober for a long time. And he shared this with not just me, but the world. He also gave me some really salient advice, too, during a member stream way back in 2020 or before. If you want to do this YouTube thing, all you need is a really good microphone, a decent webcam, and have something to say. That's kind of like, it's a paraphrase at best, but I feel that really distills Gary Beekler's salient wisdom down into a few bullet points that we can all, it's easy to follow. Get a really decent mic. I got a Blue Yeti combo. It has an arm. It's a USB, so you don't need a preamplifier or a board. Some people do that. That's more professional. Hey, Lane Kramer. Good to see you. Hey, Bone. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for the what are we calling this now? Pika. We need to, adjust the brand name. Adjust the brand name. How do we do that? Let's see. Display names. I do that? Uh-oh. Exactly. Private chat, brand. See, this is something you should have done before the show, Pika. And this is why we got X-Ray Girl to help you out with this stuff. Because it's hard to be, a handsome Pikachu, on the go. Yeah. And the Blue Yeti. It's hey James, welcome. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you. And yeah, what kind of oh, here we are. It's the Sunday Sully stream with Reverend Sully. There you go. Boom! There it is. Read it and weep. Thank you so much. Yes, we're still going to talk about comic books. We'll get there. I got a sack of funny books I got from my local comic book shop this week. 7 floppies. I spent about $28, and that is including my 10% discount on new releases for having a pull list at my local comic book shop, my LCS, a local independent bookstore that we keep open with our patronage. And it's an amazing experience to be a comic book fan. I want to share with you something really cute. You might have seen it on the notes here, on the community notes. But I also put this into a tweet. This is an actual picture of me. I believe my Aunt Debbie took this. She was come back from Northern California, Mill Valley, Marin County, suburban San Francisco. Wonderful, beautiful place. That's where Skywalker Ranch is. That's the home of George Lucas. This is me, 10 years old, reading G.I. Joe number 17. This is the copy of G.I. Joe 17 I got at the Boston Wicked Comic Con, April 2022. And I asked Larry Hama to sign it. And he did. He said to Eric, Larry Hama. And this was not the same comic I'm holding here. This comic I'm holding here, I got through my mail subscription. I remember that. But this is the same book. And this is why I picked this one up. I think maybe it's like $10 or so, just a reader copy, from the long boxes. And this is what I wanted Larry Hama to sign. And me and my best friend Brian from childhood, we were like gushing at him. Hey, George Lucas, it's funny we mentioned your name and you pop right up. Indeed. Thank you, Mo. It's good. Bonnebeck no Keek essay. It is good for us to be here. That is but yeah, I mean that's and on the back of this photo, it's in my mom's penmanship, Eric in deep thought. And so this is like, here you go, some photographic evidence of a lifelong love of this hobby of ours, this thing of ours, comic books, floppies, comics. I love them. I'm glad you do too. And we'll get to that. But I'm calling this episode number 0. What is an episode issue? What is an episode 0? What is a 0 issue? It's like a comic book thing. And 0 issue has a great history. I kind of hey, Fair Monarch, good to see you. Yeah, it's an issue 0, and you didn't even have to buy a Wizard magazine. Yeah, I mean, an issue number 0 is an index issue. It's a publication gimmick. It's to get your attention, to buy buy a magazine or buy a serial that you may have just been overlooking. And usually in issue number 0, you have the origin story, but you also have a story set around that or in the time. Perhaps we call it a retcon now, but it's something to give you some interest in what's coming next. And sometimes the issue 0 also has like text and picture pages of just information about, the new universe that you're getting into. Hey, Dwayne, good to see you. Hi, everybody. I am blessed and grateful for all of you that show up and enjoying the show. And thank you, Wes, thinking critical. He had me on the show yesterday. It was nice. And actually, Fair Monarch issue number 3 should be coming out in September. I looked this up because it's 4 issues altogether. There's been such a delay on this. It's not even like, I think it's completely killed interest and momentum on this wonderful title. I mean, I love The Gargoyle of Gotham. Why does it have such a delay? Is it a production delay? Because it is, Raphael Grandpa writing and drawing and inking, and I believe maybe coloring it himself too. So it's just like, maybe it would be worth the wait. Wouldn't that be interesting if it was worth the wait? Indeed. G.I. Joe number 17 came out in August. It was released date of August 9th, 1983. It had a November 1983 cover date. Why are the cover date 3 months ahead of its release date? Well, because on the shelves of the newsstand or your spinner rack, that's the sign to take it off. So it's December. This magazine's been on the shelf for 3 months. If it wouldn't be here, if it's sold. So after that, that's when you would know to rip the cover off and send that back to the distributor for credit. The direct market, the local comic book shop, doesn't have a returnability. So therefore, now we have some kind of organized scarceability and value attached to that, and collector. That's the whole kit and caboodle of one aspect of this thing of ours, loving comic books. I love comic books. I've loved them all my life. You don't need batteries. You just need a light source. It could be your flashlight. You know what I mean? Under your blankets at night. It could be that simple. And hey, thank you, Nuke. Thank you so much. And good to see you, DJ Ronnie G. And it's turtles all the way down. It really is. And where was I? I'm just shooting the breeze. I'm just chewing the fat. I'm just like, this is an issue. This is the Sunday Sully stream with Reverend Sully here from our Boston studios. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. I've been on hiatus for a few weeks. I had a loss in my family. We lost my mom to lung cancer, and it's been really it's been wonderful to see everyone out there with hey, Mark, how you doing? Good to see you, man. With all of the good energy and spirit and prayers and thoughts and condolences and cards, and just thank you. And and eventually the studio will change. Yeah, it'll happen, but that will be like there'll be a next year. You're gonna see like a new arrangement, a new studio from our Boston studios, and looking forward to what's next. This great adventure of life. And thanks, man. Thank you, Mark. Life goes on, one foot in front of the other. The doctors say it was because she smoked cigarettes, but she hadn't had a cigarette in 35 years. Yeah. And yeah, exactly. I mean, I shared that with my doctor as well, and just been like, okay, let's put in some screenings. Let's pencil that into my yearly physical. Because hey, if I don't make that in call, who's going to do it? My wife. But really, I should get a green screen. Oh, exactly. I actually do have something. I have an emergency backup for that. Yeah, I did. she was also vax crazy too, and boosters. So it's just like, I have no evidence to support that claim, and don't want any, just know, just we don't have a family history of cancer in our family. It was heart disease. That was always our joke. You know what I mean? But it's like, and it took her pretty quickly too. It was really, apparently it spread to her liver as well. And I'm glad that I was able to be with her at the end. And I asked her, would you like a clergy member here? And she was like, no, I have you. And I'm like, okay. Hence, Reverend Sully and this whole, spirituality thing I got going on. And my stepsister took some pictures of me. I had my mom's that's her book of prayers. And so once we got her off the oxygen, she was herself, her ebullient, effervescent, funny, light, communicative, chipper self, until it was time to say goodbye. And she asked for, she was in comfort care, and she hospiced at the hospital. It was not possible to fulfill her wish of coming home. They feared the trip home would have killed her. She wouldn't have. And they lowered her oxygen, and they took away her tube, and she was gone within the hour. That's how bad it was. Wow. But I held her hand, and I didn't leave her side. My stepfather and my stepsister as well. My stepsister Jill, thank God. God bless you. Just for taking good care of us. And thank my mom. Here's that picture again. She took 2 pictures. She took 1 picture and cropped the other one. Well, technically, Nuke, probably, or whatever, baby cries and mama buys. They used to have digest-sized, Richie Rich and Golden Key and Whitman comics and Archie comics, especially, by the cash register in the supermarket on your way out, along with, what she would call trash magazines, like the Inquirer, the Weekly News. I mean, just like 20th century celebrity pop culture, gossip culture. You know what I mean? It was a weekly print. And so she had her serials. I had mine. And or whatever accumulated coin change you could find in the cushions of the sofas. And that's your child's right. That was a right of yours as a child of the 70s and 80s. Any coinage that you found in those in those cushions, those were yours to spend any way you want. 50 cents, that's 2 quarters, 4 bits. You could spend that on a Marvel magazine like Star Wars, Shogun Warriors, Battlestar Galactica, Rom the Space Knight, any of these ones that you loved, like Spider-Man, until fall of 1981, when that went to 60 cents. Hey, Michelle Bowers, good to see you. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you, Mohammed. Good to see you. Salam, and have a great evening. He's talking to us all the way over from Saudi Arabia. We have a world wide web here. Ain't that cool? It really is. And I'm blessed and grateful that you all showed up. And so yeah, let's get to some comic book talk. And but like I said, in issue number 0, it's a comic book trick. It's a publication gimmick. It's to get your attention, and it's to get you to buy this, story, to get you to buy the magazine, sell the advertising. That's what it used to do. But in issue 0 is it's like an index issue. It's for a new reader. Jump on. You're welcome aboard. We got plenty of story to tell. We got great artists. We got, great inkers, great colorists, great letterers, and the best editors on the planet that are going to curate and shepherd this story. I'm a Bronze Age baby. I grew up as a small child in the 70s, and I was a teenager of the 1980s. So, it goes from the Bronze to the Copper Age in my youth, because the Copper Age ends in 1993. And we've been in some nebulous catch-all modern age of comics since 1993. I get my definitions of the ages of comics from the glossary of the yearly Overstreet comic book price guide. I've got 2 of them over there. I use that glossary often. I used to have a whole show. We started this show with a daily show, a page a day. There's a wonderful book right over there. The link's in the description, where we would read a page a day, today's date. We would look at some art from the golden age of DC Comics. We'd read the blurb, and then we'd kind of just hang out and talk about comic books. And we talked about the golden age of comic books, its impact on it today. That started 85 years ago. Yeah, I mean, it's great. And we perpetuate this. We are the perpetuation of this. We not only are the torch bearers, we are its recipient, and we are the giver. Tat Tavam Asi. I am that, you are that, all this is that is all there is. You are simultaneously, you are watching the play, you are the actor on the stage, and you are the stage and the scenery itself. These are spiritual things. Namaste. God bless you all. Seriously. And we've done a lot of spirituality lately. Gratitude. The gratitude lists. They're usually Monday through Friday mornings. Premiere about 6 a.m. U.S. Eastern, when I can get to work and get them uploaded using the Wi-Fi. I usually shoot them between 5:15 and 5:40 a.m. and they're up for air and premiere about 6 a.m. U.S. Eastern. And exactly what will come after the modern age? Will it be the Iron Age? Are we in the Iron Age? How do we come about with the definitions of the ages? It's usually like genius. You can only identify it in hindsight. Sure, there are wicked smart people, but are they a genius? I really think that you can only identify genius like maybe a generation after you can see the total impact. And they have a closed story, be like, wow, that person was a saint, or wow, that person was a genius. I get it. I forgot to put on a timer. Siri, please. I'll take a 43-minute timer. Fireplace.
Fireplace timer starting now.
She's Australian. You wouldn't know her. She's not from around these parts. Yeah. And so I get my definition of the ages from the glossary of the Overstreet Price Guide, because that's an industry standard. I mean, we can all agree on that. I have my own idea of the ages of comics. I came to the mountain, one could say. I came to Overstreets. I accept Overstreets. I respect it, and I will use it. I do have my own kind of interpretation of the ages of comics, such as I think that the modern age of comics doesn't have to end in 1993. Like that the Copper Age doesn't have to end in 1993. That we can maybe extend that until 2000, and you can include the implosion and the Renaissance leading up to the introduction of Warren Ellis and the sale of Wildstorm, and Grant Morrison, just like this in 2000. That's when The Authority came out. That changed comics forever. And then at 2000, from 2000 to 2015, I would want to call that the Millennium Age. because that really encapsulates the last legs of the last, that silver age of Vertigo comics. Oh gosh, those Vertigo comics of the early aughts, Marvel Knights, Infinite Crisis, Final Crisis. I love those stories. The Authorities, so it's got the gusto, man. It was really, and of its time, reading it, like, it was revolutionary. It pushed boundaries. It gave us something we always wanted. Something more Watchmen flavored in its own universe. Extreme superheroes using extreme violence and having just these are not nice guy superheroes. This predates like The Boys. It's probably the inspiration for The Boys and stuff. Just a superhero team in our own kind of hyper reality, like closer to the real world, because at least the Marvel world and at least the DC world, the Marvel 616 and DC's Prime Earth 1, however, Prime Earth 0, as we call it, I guess. Those are utopias, literally, by definition in science fiction. They are utopias. They are no place, and they're an idealized place. So I just totally reject when it comes to intersecting activist needs on, Earth Prime 0, or Prime Earth 0 rather, or Marvel 616. It's like, no, I don't think that would exist there. You wouldn't have these social needs. You wouldn't have these environmental needs. Not in a place with Pym particles and unstable molecules. That's what made up the Fantastic Four's suits. Unstable molecules. Something that Reed made. But what a wonderful, wonderful world. These imaginary worlds of fiction that we go to for escapism. Indeed. What did we buy this week? Here's the bag of funny books. Most of these, 5 of these were on my pull list, and 5 of these were on my pull list, and 2 I got off the shelf. And I literally have 14 books on my pull list currently, and that leaves me with some room to peruse the shelves. I do peruse the shelves. Peruse means to actually be very, very careful and keenly look at something. Read with really extreme detail. Peruse does not mean to glance and scan over something. I look at it up close, and then I always take like 5 steps back and I look at it from like an aisle or two's width, and I tend to catch stuff. Be like, oh, I was like right up close and I missed that. I just know me. Live and learn, kid. And support independent comics, indeed. A lot of these are, in a way. I Get Fury issue 4 of 6 from Garth Ennis. And this is just a great kind of, the art in it is kind of plain. Not a lot of backgrounds. It looks like it was drawn on a tablet. And also just why we get this certain book itself, this Marvel Max comic, but by gruesome, grotesque noir, violent maestro Garth Ennis is because of hyperviolence. And it's how have you liked Get Fury? It's okay. This is just the end of Act 2. There isn't, the whole thing, the hallmark of this thing is over the top gratuitous violence, hyperviolence. The old, like Alex, would say, and of the Droogs, but it's done at this grotesque comedic effect too. That it's just like, oh my goodness, someone thought of that and someone drew that, and now I had to see that. And just did the teeth have to fly everywhere? You know, just that kind of level of gruesome. It's just like, and Garth Ennis is just full of this, though. I mean, look at Preacher. Look at Arseface. Dude, what a cruel character. I mean, but just, I don't know. That's still Garth Ennis. And Garth Ennis also made The Boys. And also one of my favorite DC comics that I never have to go and buy again, I guess. It's called Hitman, Tommy Monahan. It was set in continuity. It was drawn by John McCrae. I love his art, but he's got me blocked on Twitter for like adjacency shit. And I'm like, I can't buy your shit anymore. Sorry. I'm not going to give money to people that hate me. And I'm not going to pursue them like, for my shelves and shit. I'm sorry. I take that personally. That was personal. You're a hateful person to do that. Sorry. It's not my opinion. It's my belief. It's not my opinion. It's how I feel. And it's my belief. And that's that. I got Nightclub 2, issue number 1. Great art by Juan Ramirez. It's the line works pretty tight. It's about some teenage vampires who decide to use their vampire powers to be superheroes instead of being, predator murderers by night. Buy it used, exactly. I know, and I would like to buy, I liked I read that in floppies. I mean, I love Hitman. And I do exactly. But so if I buy it used, especially if I buy the floppies, John McCrae will see none of that money. But I just didn't, for that, it was just more of a spiritual thing. It's just like, what's the point? It's just going to remind me that this, I don't know. It's like I take that really personally. I'm like, I don't know why. I just do. But I can respect that. And if you want to do that to someone, I mean, why? Because I follow Wes? Because I'm on Wes's show? Because I follow Ethan? Because I follow Cecil or something? I'm with the bad persons? I follow Gary Nerdrotic? I like the wrong tweet or something? I'm on a list of people? I'm on a fucking list of people of I'm sorry. I think that's dehumanizing. You gave yourself permission to use a list. You know what I mean? That's hateful, in my opinion. It's my belief. That's hateful. And I love Nightclub, and it's Mark Miller. He's just getting warmed up. I think this is 6 issues, and back real estate here used for his wonderful Nemesis Rogues Gallery. So I'm in for 2 of his Miller World phase something. This is like the post big game Miller World. I'm getting Rogues. I'm getting Nemesis. I'm getting Nightclub. I'm skipping Prodigy, but I didn't buy the other 2 before it. I'm skipping the Magic Order 5 because I don't have the 4 that preceded this one. But I got 2. So I'm buying 2 of the 4 Miller World offerings. I love the use of the real estate. This is Emily Brooks Miller, his eldest daughter, who is it's the family business. Jupiter's Legacy. I'm gonna buy that too. On sale October 15th. I'm gonna put that on my pull list so I don't miss it. So yeah, that's gonna be my 3rd one. I only got a couple of issues of Jupiter Legacies 2 to fill in the blanks. I was pretty serious in the Millar World version 1, and I'm so disappointed to what I don't have. I'm like, oh, I want the unfunnies and floppies. I don't want them on I don't want an omnibus. I don't want a trade paperback. I want floppies. I like magazines. I didn't even open her yet. I didn't read her yet, but it's on my pull list. And thank you to Yule Carter. He helped me finish my run. I was missing a few issues here and there, and he's helped me along the path. And I recently got issue number 2 and the annual 2023. Ah! Let me clear my throat. Yeah. That's from hip hop music. It really is. This is a Jamal Campbell. It's returned. Look at this. World of Superboy. We had a Superboy, huh? Then I love Superboy. Superboy was one of my favorites growing up. You know, I was a kid. I had Robin. I had Superboy. You know what I mean? We had the Teen Titans. So you had Aqualad. You had Wonder Girl. You had Kid Flash. You had Speedy with green eye. Like, you know, these were like really cool characters. And you know what? I love the black outfit. I love Superman's black outfit. I really do. Blackout. I mean, like, yeah, maybe I got a thing for the all. You know, it started with in 1984 with the all new, all different Spider-Man with this, with what we knew, what we came to know as the symbiote. You know, I like Jamel Campbell's line work. You know, I think it's pretty tight, but it's very, very digital in flavor. And so this is an Absolute Power tie-in. I am not getting any Absolute Power. I'm reading pirated the Mark Waid Dan Mora book, the core book, issues 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I've read issues 1 and 2. I've skipped over Task Force 7. I got no gas in my tank for this. So I'm just like, I've been like up to my ears in Marvel events and DC events. I've been more tuned into the Marvel events, I guess. Maybe because they happen more, just like Dark Web and Gang War. I mean, just being a Spider-Man fan, you get so many. You get double the amount of events because it's the same thing. It's like the same thing as being a Batman fan, I guess. Hold on one second. I haven't spoken this long in a while. I'm starting to like, keep drinking some water there. Poncho, Lefty McGee there, yeah, I like loose issues and just reader copies. I especially of of the Bronze Age and the Copper Age. It's the advertisements and it's everything about it. There's such that maybe it's being jaded and middle aged that these are now like, this is nostalgia. These are the member berries that bake the pie that we snack from, I guess. What else we got? We got Local Man, issue 13. This is one of my favorite comic books. I love this book. I look forward to this book. This wraps up one story arc. Its second story arc, basically. With there's been a lot of interlude stuff too, such as like an annual, that and a one shot, and I got them all. But for me, the thing is, like, I was never a huge Image Comics fan in the early '90s, but I respect the hell out of it too. I was really into Deathmate, and because my little cousin who was living with us at the time, my mom brought in her best friend who had lost her housing, and they lived with us for a year. And she had an 11-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter. And they stayed with us until it took time for them to, be back on their feet again in their own place. And also another part of the South Boston Projects. And Where was I going with that? Yeah, but oh yeah, so I call him my little cousin, you know, the 11-year-old boy. I was like 19 or 20, and he was really into Deathmate. That was the crossover between Valiant and Image Comics with the foil covers. They didn't have numbers; they had colors. Issue number, dude. This is Deathmate. I love Deathmate. Is just the universe buzzing cross. It was just, and Deathmate's always kind of like peripheral in the background, tongue in cheek mentioned here in a way, and it's about a superhero who had to come back home to his hometown after falling from grace in his super team. He can't use his superhero name anymore, or legally use his gifts because they're all trademarked by the parent company and the super team. And but hijinks ensue. It's like X-Files style. If you read Revival by Tim Sully, then you know the power of small town noir. And so hijinks ensue in the little town that he's from, and he becomes local man, as in like local man saves supermarket, local man does this, and he has to wear a ski mask, and he, instead of using things such as bows and arrows and elaborate throwing knives, he has to use ordinary gardening tools because, you know, they're not or he gets sued. You know? But when you flip this comic book over, it becomes a flip book, and they tell a tale from that long ago, from that Image golden age of the Image 7, and steeped in its history and it's Shadowhawk, dude. It's like, look, dude, this is great, with the over musculature and the shoulder pads and the big bosoms and the butt cheeks and the impossible poses. I mean, dude, I have such an appreciation for those Image comics, and it just in hindsight, because I wasn't getting them at the time. I was like into Big Two comics. I took my first big break from comics about 1995, after the first real Age of Apocalypse and the follow-up event, because I had just had event, I had event fatigue. We didn't have a terminology for it back then. So what came right after Age of Apocalypse was Onslaught, and I just didn't have it anymore. I was just like, I'm hitting the wall with this, and I took a break for about 6 years. I came back in early 2001, buying Judd Winnick, Darryl Banks's Green Lantern, the Kyle Rayner years. That was some good shit. And Grant Morrison, Frank Whiteley, Ethan Van Sciver, Igor Cordy Company, Bill Jimenez, New X-Men. And I came back to those two comics, floppies, every month. And that's what got me back into it as well. But so yeah, I have a bald spot for the 90s. I kind of missed a lot of that hubbub. I was just living life too. I was like in my early 20s, had a girlfriend, had my first real adult job at a big restaurant, and I had I always read them. And then you had like the death of Superman. Then you had like, Nightfall. And I was like, this is just like this. I know I just see it a mile away. The gimmick, of course, this is only going to last a year or so. And of course, and oh heck, there's a 30th anniversary 80-page giant coming out for 0 Hour to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the mini event of DC Universe that kind of had to tie up loose ends left over from Crisis on Infinite Earths. So it's kind of like it's a mini Crisis, but not by name. But 0 Hour had to fix a lot of stuff to make a cohesive timeline. Yes, we had one DC Universe at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths, but then came trying with the new, and I guess the big thing is like a Hawkman. Like all the versions of Hawkman get collapsed into one Hawk God for a while, and not a Haktua. Hey, I do the Haktua every morning too. I use golden classic Listerine yellow. Okay, it tastes like it works, really. And then Haktua, you just got a Haktua that thing. It's true. Haktua. To answer your question, Lynn Kramer, yes, I have read Ultimate Spider-Man number 8. Yes, I am keeping Ultimate Spider-Man on my pull list. I was on the fence. This issue was going to be a make or break for me, and it brought me back in. It is not action-filled. Great art by Marco Cicchetto. I'll tell you that much. But it's just full of things to look forward to. You know what I mean? They're moving up the timeline a little bit. It's I'm filled with suspense. Tony Stark shows up. Threads are starting to come together, but it's not a big action book. It's a big talkie, but this is like, this is a Jonathan Hickman book though, and he's got room for that. But the one thing that I loved was the last few pages with Kingpin putting his Sinister Six together. This is great. Ultimate Mr. Negative, Ultimate Mysterio. You know what I mean? This is going to be an Ultimate Mole Man. I mean, dude, classic Fantastic Four. It's like Kingpin has given all of these guys parts of New York City, of Manhattan, and the boroughs to be like their fiefdoms. Mole Man has Under Manhattan. That's a really interesting idea. And this issue pulled me back in. I'm really anxious and looking forward to what's coming next in this story. You kept me on, and you keep me hanging on. Ooh, get out of my life, and let me sleep at night. Ooh, because it's Destro, issue 3. I like this book. It's all right. This is Ben Abernathy's Energon universe now. Ben Abernathy is the editor. Here's your indicia. On your credits page. Dan Waters, Andrea Milana is the artist. And Ben Abernathy is the editor. He came over from DC Comics. He was the Bat Group editor up until recently. He's the one that gave Chip Zdarsky, his current reign. And I guess, I wonder if he must have gave Ram V Tech, Detective Comics, Gotham Nocturne, slow burn. Not a lot of people like it. I get in arguments on Thinking Critical because I stick up for this, but it shows some Destro stuff. It's just a Destro history lesson. I like it. And speaking of G.I. Joe, issue number 309, the ongoing series G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, something that I have been reading since I was a small child. Seriously. Still written by Larry Hama. Here we are. Once again, who is that? That's me. I'm 10 years old, and I'm reading a G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, written by Larry Hama. I got him to sign it a few years ago. That's the same issue, not the same magazine. That first issue there in my hands, that came to me in my mail subscription. It came wrapped in a brown paper wrapper mailer. It got passed through my mail slot. And I would roll them up and put them in my back pocket, because how else are you supposed to ride your bike home? This is G.I. Joe number 309. Love it because it has that same narrative voice, over explaining things with asterisks. So they're talking in code. You know what I mean? I just went, repeat. I am Winchester, and there's an asterisk on it, and the asterisk goes to a narrative caption, and it says all ordnance expended, and that's what There you go. This is the Battle of Springfield. It's Cobra Commander rallying his still human troops against the zombie cyborgs of Serpentor Khan and Dr. Mindbender in this Cobra Civil War. See, it doesn't take much to wrap your head around a Larry Hama G.I. Joe book. And Cobra Commander is like really inspiring the troops. Zartan's playing both sides, of course. And one of the Snake Eyes are tempted with evil. Committing evil. And it's the usual kind of like, don't do it. It's not worth your soul. But she's tempted for revenge. It's true. It's good shit. And that are the new releases this week. I've read a bunch of comics as well. Read a bunch of Marvel comics. I am currently reading it's in my bag, the compact version of Wonder Woman Earth 1 by Grant Morrison and Yannick Paquette. It's simply amazing. I'm loving it. And I'm taking my time with it and having a lot of fun. There's a couple of let's see, Standstill number 1 on Image Comics. It was pretty good. If you're in for I'm just like really picky about what I buy. I almost picked it up, and I think it's one of 5. So it's like they're all minis, So buttons, as my mom says. I didn't pick it up. I had picked up 2 other ones. I had almost bought 2 more comics. One of them was Standstill number 1. It's about a guy that can freeze time. Simple conceit, sci-fi stuff. Good, bad, morally gray. It's just, here you go. It's a good little plot device, And then let's see it go. But yeah, that's a really interesting suggestion too. Yeah. Conan 14 was amazing, by the way. I mean, I don't buy Conan books, but Conan is consistently one of the best drawn. The panels, the panel borders, the narrative voice, the nudity, the violence, the musculature, the gore, the grotesque, this has got it all. This has got it going on. It's I'm really gonna take this last gummy. I'm already out. All right, here you go. You know what you got. Venom War had a couple of one-shots to go along with it. So, like I was saying, Spider-Man has room to tell mini events. Now so does Venom. I was not tuned into Donny Cates's King in Black. Again, Donny Cates, is a person under great stress and duress. So, you know what I mean? But you used a group list block, and I'm just, wow. It's a good exercise to be like, no, no, no. You need to still have compassion for people that hate you. You know, don't say it would be easy to say mean shit about him and his habits and his, like, you know, failures. And, you know what I mean? Who wants, think about yourself. Would you like that if you were in bad straits? You know, think about the stress, you know what I mean, you would be under anyway. And then to have some random stranger on the internet, you know what I mean? You have to think that people do the best of what they can with what they got at that moment. I mean, I don't have to agree with or like it, but I can see, like, hey, you're a comic book creator. You get a lot of grief from a lot of people. It's easier to throw the babies out with the bathwater. There is, there is no need to, just like, oh, sorry. I don't know. I will say this much: this week's Star Wars number 49, Marvel Comics, is wrapping up next issue. And it'll probably get a restart in the only era it's got kind of left available to it. An original Marvel Star Wars went there as well. So bring it on, I guess. You can issue 50 of this volume of Star Wars, Marvel Star Wars, written by Charles Sully, wraps up, and it comes right to the opening crawl of Return of the Jedi. And that's this, the last volume of Star Wars chronicled everything for them, for the new Disney canon, Disney era Star Wars canon that Lucasfilm Books and there's Matt Martin, Pablo Hidalgo, they're in the credits of every one of these magazines. Lucasfilm Story Group, you know what I mean? So the last volume of Star Wars chronicled between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back. And but Star Wars issue 49, I said, was pretty decent. As being a big fan of the of Marvel Star Wars comics all my life, and to judge Star Wars in that same vein, you know what I mean? It was okay. We're several months removed from Dark Droids, a mini event inside. You know what I mean? These are just events. Are they stories? Are they publication gimmicks? They're both. They really are. But I mean, because sometimes you don't need to buy any of the tie-ins, and then sometimes one of those tie-ins is pretty darn good. Like, still, I gotta still buy that Death Metal tie-in that had Superboy Prime. I didn't even touch Death Metal, but I love Superboy Prime. He's like one of my favorite characters, and I heard he got redeemed. I think that's cool. Scarlet Witch number 3. This is what others feel about Riley Rossmo's art. This is Russell Dodderman does the art for Scarlet Witch, by Steve Orlando. And this is kind of like this. There have been 2 Scarlet Witch minis that came before this, written by Steve Orlando. So this is kind of like the same. It's the same story, the same creator. So the story's not here or there, but I just couldn't get over the art. I know, like, this is like one of the big Marvel stars, Russell Dodderman. And I looked at it and I was like, this is what they when they're pitching about Riley Rossmo, this is that feeling. This is that emotion. It's like you asked an AI to make panels using Mike Allred, Fraser Irving, and J.H. Williams III, this Dodderman guy. It's just like, because it gives it that flat kind of digital itis to it. I don't know. Namor issue number 2 was pretty darn cool. It wasn't, I didn't expect I like walking in. I didn't read issue 1. So I'm walking into this kind of like sight unseen just because it's in my pirate chest. And the art was good. The story was decent. I mean, I like being satisfied with a random comic book. Namor number 2 had the sauce. And it was like, it was really cool. And it was very Conan the Barbarian. It had this brutal Atlantean execution scene where it's like they stake, like, you know, the traders, and then as the tide lows, they like be exposed to the sun and they suffocate slowly without the, you know, water for their gills. Oh gosh. But I'm like, you print that? You can put that in the comic book still? That's pretty freaking cruel, and cruel too. And I think that this is what DC should be doing with Aquaman. That level of story that you're getting in I think that's Jason Aaron and Namor right now. I mean, like, yeah, that was pretty good. I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. And Giant Size Thor. This was the other book that, like, okay, I was talking about. I picked it up. I think it went for $6.99. It's giant sized. It's 8. I mean, but there's a reprint of an old issue, a Bronze Age issue in the back. You know, pretty good. That I was all over too, and I really liked the new story of this. It's a Hercules Thor team up. I like the art, but I had it in my hand with my comics, and then I saw the cover price. And even if I get 10% off, it's like, still, it's like, that's a lot for a book that, to be in all honesty, I'm never going to read again physically. I read it pirated. I'd like to reward it for being good by giving it some, you know, so some metrics, some cash, throw some cash at that thing. If you like it, buy it. You know what I mean? And I liked it that much but then I look at my accumulation, my collection, and I'm like, I don't have infinite space. I don't want to buy everything. But Giant Size Thor 2024 is really good. If you like a Thor story, you know, I gotta say that they asked us all on Wes's show about 2 weeks ago, who is Marvel's most consistent writer right now? And my first words were Jim McKay. But my second one would have been Cody Ziegler. And I've been reading a lot of his stuff, and it's new to me. I mean, seriously, I've been reading like almost every Marvel magazine for almost the past year, every week in a pirate treasure chest. You know, just like, here you go. Like, I'll give you my review thoughts on that. Sure. The Miles Morales annual was perfectly fine. I came out this week, and there was a few backup stories, and you have a Danny Lore story in there too. And then that was more about like Bloodline. That was Danny Lore had just done a Blood Hunt Bloodline. It was actually Dracula. It was the Dracula book, but it was basically about Bloodline, Blade's daughter, teaming up with Dracula to help save the day. And Bloodline is like Marvel Comics version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'll go with that much. So Danny Lore wrote those two. And so there's a Danny Lore story in this as well. And it's fine. And you know what? Miles Morales, it's like he's taking a vacation. He's going to see his aunt in Puerto Rico. He's half Puerto Rican, you know, and he's Latino, and he speaks, you know, New York City Spanish, because he's you know, as I know with Latinos over, you know, Chicano culture, with the Mexican Californian culture, it's called pocho. It's like pocho, ay pocho, means like, oh yeah, you were born here, you speak, your Spanish stinks, man. You know, what can I say, man? You know what I mean? El Alicron. I dated a Spanish girl and a Mexican American girl for 4 years, man. That leaves an impact on you. It left some scars. It was a Mexican playing card. It's really nice. Yeah. Fluffy. That's his name. But I was thinking like the Miles Morales annual, it had a lot of like, the carrots that mean we're speaking in another language. And you get the one asterisk usually that carries over narratively. So every time you see the dialogue in carrots, besides like the usual, pretty good use of Spanish words here and there. But for the most part, while Miles is on the island, he's speaking Spanish. He's got to, and DC did this on Blue Beetle recently. They had a Spanish version. Jaime Reyes is a Mexican-American superhero on a border town in Texas where he's from. And it used to be El Paso, but I forget what there's some kind of like, DC city of technology and opportunity on the river, on the Rio Grande down there, And but DC Comics released Blue Beetle bilingually. There's a Spanish version of that, which I think is the most. I love that, and just like I wish we had sales figures still. I wish we knew how many units that sold and where and to whom. Is it selling like hotcakes under the Rio Grande? Because we have underneath, under the border, there's an entire Latino culture. For North and South America, there are 1.1 billion humans combined, and for the most of those people's culture is Latina. Seriously. So I want to know, did Blue Beetle sell pretty well south of the border in a way? You know what I mean? I would love to know that. Like, I'm rooting for that book. I'm rooting for comics. I want kids to be reading comics. So wouldn't it be great to see, like, some kid in Belize or Peru, you know what I mean? Just pick up a random issue of Blue Beetle and be like, Jaime Reyes, man. That'd be awesome. I Ghost Rider 6 was okay. It wraps up the mini that was going on. No spoilers, yeah, but still, it landed. Ben Percy lands this, and it goes into next. There'll be more Ghost Rider, and we got a new design and a new bike, new stories to tell, new trails to blaze. And it didn't go to who I thought it was going to. I thought Talia Warroad was going to be the next Ghost Rider, because girls replacing guys in comics, but it's not. Won't tell you who. I'll be spoiling it. Well, I already read next week's Image Comics. Can't review those yet. Amazing Spider-Man 55. That was pretty bad. And the last issue of Steve Fox's Spider-Woman came out. It's issue 10, I believe. But I thought it was better than Amazing Spider-Man 55, which is like, it's kind of a compliment, but it's also a testament to how bad of a single issue Amazing Spider-Man 55 was. I mean, I go to bat for ASM. I go to bat for Zeb Wells. It's mostly because, I love John Romita Jr. and I love his process, and I love that this is where you'll find the newest John Romita Jr. artwork. And it's been okay. It's been intermittently okay. I don't think Zeb Wells is particularly well at landing some of these arcs that he makes. He's got great ideas and then good story beats, but then when it comes to land like that the story arc, it lands pretty flatly and kind of just like, if tension's a bubble, it should make a nice satisfying pop, and this does not have a satisfying pop. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah. Yep. And I read Phoenix issue 2. It didn't suck. It was okay. Stephanie Phillips. It was just it rises, it falls. There's a network sitcom feel to it. It's like, who does Jeannie have to help this week? And this week it's her ex-father-in-law. Is Corsair still Jeannie's father-in-law? Who knows? With resurrection protocols, divorces, this one, that one, Emma, and the other thing. I mean, does she have to be married to Scott this life? Has their marriage been annulled because of, you know what I mean? Is everyone gonna like a clean slate? That's a good question. It's a good question to ask. But I said it was very much like the old NBC sitcom My Name is Earl, because Corsair has this kind of like aw shucksness to him, kind of bumbling, kind of like ne'er well-to-do, but he does it with a grin, and you know what I mean. He tries to to cute his way out of it and charm his way out of things, but basically he's like doesn't make very good choices in life or something. He's Corsair of the Starjammers. He's a space pirate, and he's also father of Scott and Alex Summers. Comic book convolution and stories. Love it. Oh boy, you got to be, this is this thing of ours. And yeah, and those are the comic books that I bought. Why does Watchmen has a new animated thingy coming up? Oh man, see, Watchmen. Who? I mean, it was great, but taking Watchmen too seriously all the time has made us like take comics too seriously all the time. They're better when they're fun and they can be pithy. They don't have to all be so meaningful and just, oh man, I don't know. I don't want to be sounding like I'm putting the kibosh on someone's enthusiasm, say about such as canon and lore and respecting those things. That's a big thing. We can't be on the Watchmen. Like, yeah, okay. I mean, seriously, can't we get beyond the Watchmen? I mean, it's like, maybe a lot of comics' problem is that it takes itself too seriously. Hence the culture wars foolishness. Hence the good persons versus being judgy of the bad persons. I don't know. I don't have answers. All I have are more questions. And my next question is, what's for supper? I'm starving. I got to get going. Thank you so very much. It's been my first stream back. It's the Sunday Sully special stream. Is that what? No, it's the Sunday Sully stream, episode 0. And yeah, and hope to see you next week. And we'll talk more about comic books, pop culture, spirituality. Tune in during the week for the gratitude lists. We usually do that most work mornings. You know what I mean? And I do something called Apolitical Fridays, where I kind of I get apolitical. I don't give a shit about my politics. Why should I give a shit about yours? I can be sold on ideas. I can be sold on good ideas. I think that's gonna be like, I love our country. Like, dude, I cosplay as Captain America. Thanks, Mark. It's good to be back, and it's good to be on Wes's. And I'll be seeing you here and there and everywhere out there. But definitely, let's try to keep our Sundays. And you can always watch the replay. You can always be part of this conversation by contributing to the comment section. So please leave a comment, hit that like button, ring that bell, turn on the notifications. If you haven't already, try subscribing to the channel. I think we are up to 1,519 humans that are subscribed to this channel, and I couldn't have done that without you. seriously, and the interest that you have in this show and the time that we spend together talking about, the things that matter in our lives, spirituality, pop culture, cooking. That's like, the things that I love, and I love talking with you guys. Thank you so much. It's good to see everyone. Thank you, Dwayne, Fear Monarch, Mark McGrath, Lane Kramer, Nuke, Bone, Adam Frey, hey, good to see you. Oh yeah, and I didn't see the ASM of a 259 facsimile, but I think that's a good question. Maybe I got to read that first. Good to see you, Mark. Let's see. Good to see you, Michelle. Good to see you, Ronnie G, DJ Ronnie G. Good to see you, Bone. Good to see you, Mohammed. Good to see you, Mo. Good to see everyone out there. And if you're tuning in on the replay, leave a comment, be part of the conversation. Continue this comic book shop style conversation in the comment section. Be grateful and tune in the morning. Yeah, we try to do a little bit of a morning show here with bunnies, planets you can see with your naked eye, and things to be grateful for. And it really helps my life. A little bit of beauty, have some joy. This is where joy comes from, not a political platform. It comes from within when you have purpose and perspective. And when you have joy, you can give joy. It will radiate from you with your respect and your light. Be that light. Thank you so very much. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again in those funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.